So when I first went to Gothenburg back in 2004, I honestly thought things were about to change. I thought that recording an album in Sweden, in a studio I had admired for years, will somehow make people notice our music. I thought the studio name, the production credits, the whole story around it would be enough to make people curious. And to be fair, it worked. But just not in the way I expected. The album gave us a lot of satisfaction, of course. People who listened to it generally liked it. But I slowly realized that liking an album and discovering it are two completely different things. Because people don't press play because they recorded at famous studio. They don't press play because they see produced by or mixed by. They only discover how good an album sounds after they press play. And getting people to press play, that's the hard part. Now, if you are thinking this is going to be a video about bad PR, you are wrong. Or at least only partly right. Because before we continue, I want to make one thing very clear. I'm not making this video because I think every band should sign to a record label. Actually, I still have a huge amount of respect for artists who choose to release everything independently. I did exactly the same for years. I've had record deals in the past, but that was a completely different world. Physical records sold differently. Social media wasn't shaping the industry the way it does today. The rules were different. Whether signing to an independent label still makes sense today, I think that's a fascinating conversation. But it's also a completely different video. Maybe we'll talk about that next time. Today I want to stay focused on one question. Why do some incredible albums struggle to reach the people who will actually love them? I think the answer is much simpler than we like to admit. We are overwhelmed. Every single day more than 100,000 new songs are uploaded to streaming platforms. Every week. Hundreds of thousands more, so when your album comes out, it isn't entering an empty room, it's entering the loudest room in history. Sometimes musicians think they are competing against other bands. I don't think that's true. They are competing against the next notification on someone's phone, against everything asking for the same attention. And once you realize that, you stop asking, is my album good enough? And you start asking, how do I get someone to press play? So this is where I think many independent artists get stuck, because most of the musicians I end up working with are actually very similar to me. They don't want to spend their lives creating content. They don't dream about becoming influencers. They simply want to write music. Honestly, I completely understand that, because I'm exactly the same. Sometimes I feel like no matter how much work we put into a release, it's just never enough. And I also understand why so many musicians choose silence. Because showing people who you really are can be uncomfortable. Not everyone wants to constantly share opinions or their private life or spend every day on social media. And honestly, I respect that. I don't think every artist should become a content creator. If your music says everything you want to say, maybe your music should speak for you. But today's world rarely rewards silence. So that's why I think an independent label can make a difference. Not because it guarantees success, but because it can help tell your story honestly. It can help your music reach people without asking you to become someone you are not. Especially if you are not touring all year, if music isn't your full-time job. If you simply don't have the time or the desire to spend every day promoting yourself. Maybe the problem isn't that there's too much great music. Maybe there's too little context. People don't buy music because it's great. They buy it because they understand why it exists. Great music isn't competing against bad music. It's competing against attention. Communication doesn't make music better. It simply gives great music a chance to be discovered. So I'm not making these videos because I think I have all the answers. Quite the opposite. These are simply thoughts that keep coming back to me while running a small independent label. I'm just thinking out loud, trying to bring something valuable to this channel. I would genuinely love to hear your thoughts. because I'm still trying to figure things out myself. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Ciao.